There you go. Once again, welcome to the Premier Wednesday sponsored by Premier Agile. And as many of you would be knowing, Premier Wednesday is our event where we sponsor a lot of learning. And today's edition is about 46th Premier Wednesday event. And the topic is achieving business agility with SAFe. And we have been doing these Premier Wednesday events for more than, I would say, 3 to 4 years, month after month. And we have a lot of interesting schedule coming up as well in the subsequent weeks. I hope all of you can be benefited with this. Today's topic, especially on scaled agile framework. And we have Mahesh Varadarajan, and agile coach and a SAFe practitioner. He's also pursuing SAFe program consultant trainer. I'm assuming some of you would have heard about SAFe, and within SAFe we have practitioners called SPCs, SAFe program consultant, and there are one level beyond called SPCT, SPC trainers. So the trainers and coaches who can help become SPCs. So which is not an easy achievement, and Mahesh is there today. And he's a potential candidate for SPCT by the Scaled Agile Academy, right? And I'm so glad to invite Mahesh on this forum to help us understand some of those basic stuff. Scaled Agile, how can it help us achieve business agility? That's the whole idea. But before we get into details, as you know, we are tied up with Scrum Alliance as well as a Scaled Agile framework for the last few years, and we are also a bronze partner with SAFe. We deliver several of their programs through our in-house SPCs, and we have been doing those programs, both regular certification courses as well as non-certified events like this, right? So these are some of the services that Premier Agile offers today: transformation, coaching, a lot of education stuff, the community development that we are involved in for more than a couple of years. Some of those logos out there, you would recognize either a CSM or a CSPO or a Scaled Agile, SAFe Agilist out there. Some of these courses that we are offering today. Many more courses are coming up, and please stay tuned on our website, PremierAgile.com. And if you have registered with us, it is very, very highly likely that you are benefited with some of these free implementation resources that are available on our website. Please browse through the website for more details, and I'm sure you are using them, leveraging them, being benefited through them. If you have any questions, you can reach any of our learning advisors who is available on our website, either through a chat bot or a phone call or an email or whatever it is. Right. A brief agenda for today is a little introduction for a few minutes, and Mahesh is going to take us through those, some of those basic concepts about SAFe and how it can help us achieve business agility. And then we are going to close this after nearly two hours of the total event is planned, right? I hope all of you can get benefited through Mahesh's experience. By the way, I and Mahesh go long, like few years ago. We have been doing this community events for a long time. This is not the first event where Mahesh and I and Premier Agile, we are working together. There are other forums where Mahesh and I have been working ever since, I believe maybe 2014-15 timeframe, where we met for the Global Scrum gathering in Bangalore, and we have volunteered. And ever since we did several events. A couple of months back, Mahesh was also on Premier Wednesday forum talking about SAFe, little advanced concepts, the Agile release train. And today he has accepted, and I'm very, very lucky. Premier Agile and the Premier Wednesday participants, all of you hopefully are very well lucky to have Mahesh time here. Mahesh, we will let you start, right? But before that, a small note on the chat that is posted on our Premier Agile LinkedIn page. If you are not following, probably you are missing some of these critical information. So I would request all of you to kindly click that link on the chat box and start following us on LinkedIn, so that we bring more of these events, more exciting learning coming up in the subsequent weeks. Yep. With that little background, Mahesh, please go ahead and expand on your experience as well as set us some expectations in terms of how you want to run the session, whether you can take Q&A immediately or at the end, or the chatbot, how you want to use any help. However, I mean, I'm leaving it totally to you. Mahesh, all yours, please.
Sure. Thanks, Suresh. Am I audible?
You are.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Good morning and good afternoon if there are folks from other parts of the world joining us in this webinar. As always, thank you, Suresh and Premier Agile for extending me this opportunity to serve the Agile community. So thank you very much once again for that. So those of us who have been through my last session, one of my ask in today's session is maybe I think for some of you may find a lot of common messages over there, but I think this session is going to be a little bit more basic and introduction compared to the previous session, where I think Suresh in particular has requested me to focus on the foundational concepts of scaling and the safe fundamentals, if that's the right word to put forth this webinar. Is that correct, Suresh?
Absolutely right, Mahesh. Since we covered a little bit of advanced stuff last time, I thought some of the basics also should be covered for some of the other audience here. So we are trying to balance the whole learning here. But thank you for accepting this.
No problem. So having said that, I've come with a simple concept to help bring in that learning objectives. I've also kind of shared a couple of links on your chat window, everyone, that you can download yourself as the takeaway material, which is publicly available, right? One is called the SAFE 5.0 white paper that I will be primarily using it to explain the learning objectives. And then maybe we will also deep dive into a little bit of the current version of SAFE, which is SAFE 5.1. Okay. So please save those links if at all you have those information for future reference. So with that little thoughts, let me jump in and share my screen. Let me know if you guys can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Can you see the white paper I'm referring to, everyone?
Yeah.
All right. So before I begin the session, can I just have a quick understanding on the room? How many of you are beginners to SAFE? Vis-a-vis, you have gone through at least one SAFE course, or you're pretty familiar with the framework, that you have not come here to learn the basics. So I would precisely like to know those of you who have come here to primarily learn the fundamentals of SAFE. Can you just raise your hand in Zoom using the reactions option, just to validate how many of us fall in that quadrant? So at least more than 10 people, Suresh, is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. So at least 12.
12 people. So which means that, the rest of you, I assume, you have already gone through a class, or probably you know the framework, little bit of it, if that's the right understanding. Correct? Okay. Before we talk about SAFE, I wanted to get started with the buzzword, because the theme of the current version of SAFE is all centered around business agility. Let's talk about understanding what is business agility. Anybody in the webinar who would like to probably unmute yourself and help us understand what business agility means to you? Maybe in one sentence, not more than that. Few words.
Adapting to market needs.
Yeah, adapting to the new changes to the
Yeah.
business requirement
Sure.
at fast pace or something like that. Yeah, in time box manner. Yeah.
Yeah. One request, folks. So those of you who are speaking, at least when you speak, keep your videos on. So we would love to have an experience as if we are in the same room, except that it is virtual in nature. Okay, just for an engaging experience for all of us. So you are adapting to the marketplace, sure. In order to achieve what? Why are you adapting?
Specifically for a rapid or a fastest development or a planned of next few, at least a quarter or nearly to the quarter, where we have a better visibility, we are using safe. And I feel like safe also has disadvantages in real time, where team get exhausted sometimes in the last sprints.
Hold on.
Hmm.
We are still asking around what is business agility? That's my question. We
Yeah,
are
for
not
rapid
getting
or continuous improvement or development of the deliverables or the product.
okay. Why are we continuously improving?
To
To
deliver value
align
early,
with,
right?
yeah.
One at
Yeah.
a time, folks.
To stay relevant.
To stay
The
relevant.
product, yeah.
Relevant from whose perspective?
The product should be
End user.
relevant from the markets or the consumer's perspective.
Consumer's perspective. And what would happen if you are relevant, whether your product or services are relevant in the marketplace? Shantanu, I think, was that you who answered?
Yeah.
What would happen if you become relevant or if you stay relevant?
Very fast.
Yeah, we can be like product can scale fast, as well as it will always you can say the traction will be always there for the product or service or any other business that you are in.
Okay.
So the possibility of growth is always better if you are relevant with the market.
Sure.
We want to be relevant to customers' requirements, rapidly changing requirements, so as we can deliver the right product, to the customers rapidly.
And therefore, if I deliver Parag the right product in the right time at the right place, I will probably stay competitive.
Right.
Because for the business to succeed, competitiveness is extremely important. Yes or no? In whatever business we do, your products and services must be able to compete in an ever-changing or ever-disruptive marketplace. Therefore, business agility is all about, we all live in the VUCA world where volatility, uncertainty, complexity and ambiguity is all pervasive, but yet we need an approach that will help us succeed and stay competitive while you adapt to the changing needs and wants of the marketplace. So with that little thoughts, let's move on. So if you look at the section of this white paper that I'm showing you on your screen, there are 7 competencies that this white paper is going to focus deep dive upon. In order to understand this, I'm going to encourage you to open this website, scaledagileframework.com. I'm also sharing the link on your chat window right now, and click on full set. So this is the version I'm clicking in. Are you able to see my big picture on your screen?
Yes.
So where were we? We were here. We started about, right away, lean agile leadership. And there are 7 such competency. Now, what is a competency according to you folks? What do you mean by these are competencies a lean enterprise must be embracing or adapting? What do you mean by that? What is the purpose of a competency?
So we should competency means the ability to customers requirements are changing every time, and we need to adapt. So the competency to adapt to those changing requirements and deliver. So we should have that skill to across the organization.
Correct. So Parag, just to extend yes and to whatever you're saying. So here when we say competency in the scaled agile framework, we are referring to at every level or every role in the enterprise, what skills and capabilities that we must imbibe in order to truly transform oneself as a lean enterprise, right? Lean agile enterprise. What skills, what capabilities, what traits, what attributes that one must embrace. So if you see at a team level, the teams must be agile enough. Yes or no? Because if you want to succeed in the digital world, in the VUCA world, who is delivering working software? Eventually, none other than the agile teams. So if the teams are not capable enough, they don't understand how to make Scrum work, how to apply Scrum, Kanban, XP in order to turn an idea into a working software for a customer, nothing works. So your foundation becomes the basic building block is none other than what? Your agile teams. Now, agile teams build great software. But what if it is not relevant? What if it does not make sense to the customer who's going to pay for that product or service? That's where your agile product delivery comes into picture. Your agile product delivery focuses on building the right product in the right time, at the right place, for the right customer, so that we adapt the typical lean startup model. You do not build any features for a given product where there are no takers. Every idea that I build, I'm going to validate before I move further, right? So being effective in the first place rather than just focused on being efficient enough. Because when effectiveness and efficiency combine, then we see far-reaching benefits. And then we see the foundation. For example, if you look at the minimalistic implementation of SAFe, you will note that there are only 3 competencies: lean agile leadership, team and technical agility, and agile product delivery. So we will deep dive onto some of this as the webinar unfolds. So meanwhile, let me just jump in onto the overview section. Now, when we look at the overview section over here, let me just zoom in for all of you. What do you see here? The context. So when we talk about context, here we again look at the 7 competencies. So the one that you see on the left are more execution centric. The ones that you see on the right are more strategic. And the foundational competency is lean agile leadership. So before we deep dive onto the competency, I thought first I'll give you a overview of SAFe. Okay. Let me just share my whiteboard for all of you. Let me know if you guys can see it pretty well. Is it visible for everyone?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So what did we say, guys, as the basic building block in any organization? Who's building the working software?
Team.
Team.
Agile
Scrum
team, yeah.
team.
Okay. These are the basic building blocks. Now, first we will learn how big is an agile team in SAFe. How big is an agile team in SAFe? It is 5 to 11 individuals. Okay. 5 to 11 individuals who are cross-functional, self-organizing, and an agile team in SAFe comprises of 2 specialty roles. One, we call it as a Scrum Master. The other one, we call it as a Product Owner. Now, this 5 to 11 individuals, does it include the Scrum Master and the Product Owner as well? What do you guys think?
Yes.
It does include. So, including these 2 people, it is 5 to 11 individual. And agile teams in SAFe, they apply Scrum / Kanban / XP in order to develop and deliver working software, or in order to plan and execute the work, manage the flow of work at a given team or within a given team. They apply a combination of 1 or more agile practices, which are usually Scrum, Kanban, extreme programming. And when you look at the length of the iteration, the framework recommends that teams adapt a 2-week iteration. We don't use the term mandated. We rather use the term highly recommended. In principle, shorter the length of the iteration, it is always the better. Be it your ability to adapt, ability to get faster feedback, ability, maybe fail fast, and you don't want to really take a lot of time to validate or learn how things are shaping up. Okay. Now, above the team in SAFe, we call the next level as an ART, or it's also called ART. What is the full form for ART? Agile Release Train. This Agile Release Train is 50 to 125 plus individuals. Okay. This number is called as Dunbar's number. You can Google offline on what is the significance behind the Dunbar's number. It's from research. It's a cognitive limit to how many people can work together effectively and realize something working as maybe within a team or team of teams to really accomplish something, a goal. Now, this 50 to 125 people may be in turn grouped under 5 to 12 agile teams. And then we are going to have some added role. What are those added roles? Guys, if you are not speaking, can I request you to go on in mute? Thank you. So what are these added roles? So one, the first role, we call it as an RTE. What does RTE stand for? Release Train Engineer. See, scaling agility, we call it as a fractal in nature. Fractal means, how many of you have seen fractal patterns? What comes to your mind when you hear the term fractal? Anyone?
No idea. You can explain once.
It's a repeating pattern at scale, right? It is like a multiplier effect. Imagine in one. Suresh, can we mute everyone?
I just did.
Thank you. So if one team is hardly 5 to 11 people, and when we talk about a scaled pattern, that means that if there are, let's say, 10 teams, and each team is again 5 to 11, again, each of these 10 teams would be a pattern of 5 to 11, 5 to 11. Yes or no? Again, within each and every team, you may have one Scrum Master and one product owner. And therefore, when we talk about scaling agility, every team at every level in the organization is going to have a similar or same pattern, which means for every agile release train, I will need a chief scrum master. That role will be called as RTE. RTE means release train engineer. Okay. The next role, now we have a PO at the team level. What do we call the content authority at the art level? This role will be called as product management. And then we are going to have other roles like system architects, and we are also going to have a role like business owners. I'll talk about other roles later. Just the fundamental roles. Okay. So maybe I'll extend this for clarity. Okay. And when we talk about iterations at a team level, teams adapt a 2-week iteration model. What about at an art level? Arts adapt an iteration, which is called as a PI. PI stands for program increment. How long is a typical PI? A typical PI is 8 to 12 weeks. The minimum length of a PI is 8 weeks, maximum 12, typically 10 weeks. Now, of these 10 weeks, we do a 2-week iteration. Therefore, in a typical 10 weeks PI, how many iterations are likely? Anyone like to answer?
5.
5 iterations. So in a typical 10 weeks program increment means it is an iteration of iterations, multiple iterations. In a 10 weeks PI, how many iterations are we talking about? 5 iterations. Are you all with me so far? Not very complex yet?
Yes, it's clear.
And the minimum can never be less than 8 weeks and maximum cannot be longer than 12 weeks. It is very similar to how Scrum would recommend that the length of the sprint is never longer than what? You all are gone through Scrum classes, right? What is the length of a sprint?
Max 1 month.
2 weeks.
Not longer than 1 month, right? 1 month or less. A similar concept on length of a PI. Now, so we talked about a PI is 8 to 12 weeks, usually 10. And then these are the roles that we call it in the art level. Now, product owner in SAFe is more of a team level role. This person is predominantly execution focused. Whereas when you talk about product management, this person is more strategy focused, market focused, customer focused. Okay. At a team level, product owner will manage your product backlog, right? At a team level, this backlog will comprises of what? User stories at a team level. Whereas when we talk about a PM will manage the program level or art backlog that shall be called features. Therefore, stories must fit within an iteration of 2 weeks, whereas a feature must fit within a what? A PI. And a PI is no longer than 10 weeks. Is everybody clear so far? The difference between what is a user story versus what is a feature?
Yes.
Now, the other added role, if you look at, system architect. So these are the roles that you may have not classically noticed, where Scrum defines some of these roles. For example, system architect. It is, remember, the system architect role is a art level role. So this role is going to work in close collaboration with the product management. So the system architect will probably help in engineering guidance, providing technical guidance, how the architecture needs to evolve over a period of time. How ready are we in order to build future business requirements like futuristic features? How ready is the system to be able to build some of those features just in time? So these guys are going to help the PM understand some of those nuances. And business owners are the key stakeholders, steering the train, guiding the train on what is value for the business from time to time. Now, above the art level, we have the next level in SAFe. This is called as a solution train. What is it called as a ST, a solution train? Now, the solution train concept is usually, this layer of SAFe is usually called as a optional level. Why is it optional? Because unless you are really building really large solutions, you will not necessarily need solution trains to be launched or stood up. Now you may wonder, Mahesh, then what is the definition of what is a large would look like? See, usually arts will develop and deliver some system. Maybe let's imagine art 1 is building a system 1, which means when you are talking at that the next level solution train, that means you are definitely talking about multiple n number of systems. Yes or no? System of system, which is called as a large solution. See, let's take the example of your aircraft, navigation system. Now, can somebody describe me what sort of things you will look for if you are the pilot of an airplane and you are flying an airplane? What sort of things you would look for in order to seamlessly start and finish your flight? What sort of things you would look for?
You would need the flight path.
The flight path, okay. Maybe the routing navigation capability, okay. What else?
Weather.
Destination location.
Sorry?
The destination path.
Okay.
Weather report.
Weather forecast and weather reporting, okay. Yes, and?
Takeoff and landing capability.
Sorry, Yogesh?
Takeoff and landing capability.
Okay, okay, sure.
The speed is needed, the speed calculations based on which landing has to be done, takeoff has to be done.
And midway, let's say we experience some turbulence or something untoward happen. It could be due to weather, or it could be issue can happen because of some technical glitches within that aeroplane. Yes or no? It's not always external forces. Yes or no?
Yes.
Now, when something happens to the airplane mid-flight, what capabilities would you look upon?
Maybe landing in a safe place other than destination.
Right? You want to know the things that should be done when you see that the plane is abruptly flying in abnormal altitudes, or it has suddenly stalled, and you want to probably land in a safe place. And do you think all these capabilities will be built only by one team or one train with such complex functionalities that you are desiring for just 10 people or 100 people or few tens of people would just build some of these capabilities?
No.
The answer is it will be largely maybe hundreds, sometimes thousands of individuals, each focused on building a subset of the system, right? The route has to integrate with the weather system, weather has to integrate with the braking. Why go that far? Take your very own cars, right? Your engine, your gear system, your brakes, your accelerator, everything should work together, yes or no? It is not independent functionality. So you will need to really stand up solution train when you are dealing with really large system of systems or building a large solution, building mission critical systems, cyber physical systems, intelligent systems, something to do with how our Alexa enabled devices integrated with your home appliances today. Imagine I can do Wi-Fi and control my air conditioners today, my washing machines today. I can probably control my dishwashers. I can control my refrigerators. I can probably use, boil the rice while on my way home from work. So many capabilities have evolved. So by principle, you're talking about maybe one or more arts who are working together to build a large solution. And this layer will need additional roles for governance and to guide and steer the train. You will need a scrum master for every level. What do we call this person as? We call this person as a STE. STE stands for Solution Train Engineer. He or she is the Chief Scrum Master of a solution train, or you can call this person as the RTE of RTEs. And then we have the Content Authority, who is called Solution Management. Then you have an architect person who is called Solution Architect. And what is the backlog in this level called as? We call the backlog in this level as a capability. And whether it is a feature or a capability, it has to be fit within one PI. Now, if that is true, can somebody tell me, then what is the differentiation between the two jargons, a feature versus capability in SAFe, if both has to be finished within one PI time frame? Any guesses from anyone, given what you listened to me? Let's go even elementary, right? Let's start with the team. A team will work on what? When you are saying this is my team level backlog, and you are working on what? A bunch of
Stories.
user stories. Stories must fit within an iteration of 2 weeks. Can a story be shared between multiple agile teams?
No.
The answer is no. But when you go the next level, at an art level, your backlog is nothing but feature, singular backlog, single source of truth from where the work originates for the entire train. So that backlog is nothing but a collection of feature. Feature should fit within one PI. Similarly, a capability should also fit within one PI. The difference is feature means maybe a single train will finish that feature. Whereas when it is a capability, could be one train, could be multiple trains contributing to development of that capability. One train or one or more trains usually working towards building that capability in one PI time frame. If it is only a single train, you call it a feature. If it is multiple trains, then we call it as a capability. Clear? Above the last level, we call it as your LPM. LPM in SAFe stands for Lean Portfolio Management. See, after having done Agile implementation for a while, in many organizations, whoever thought Agile is meant for teams. Then after the advent of SAFe, maybe we scale Agile adoption to the programs, large scale programs, but nothing above that, nothing beyond that. And then when you start implementing lean Agile practices to execute your work, we start realizing or we start seeing problems not because they are execution centric, because they are arising due to some of the strategic decisions taken at the top of the pyramid. The way we are doing the funding, the way we are doing prioritization, the way we are tracking progress, the way we are changing our decision, the way we are managing the portfolio, whether it is a project based or product aligned, it could be so much factor. So LPM becomes what we call the solution to helping address problems relating to how do we align strategy with execution, right? We say, guys, Agile teams are often long-lived, stable, persistent, long-lived teams tend to produce high performance over a period of time. Which means your teams are fixed capacity, your arts are fixed capacity, at least within that time box you are working on. But you always experience this problem that people are getting added and removed all the time. It's becoming harder to understand with what capacity I'm planning the work or I'm committing the work and executing the work. Why? We are doing typical project-based model. So LPM brings with it two roles called as epic owner and enterprise level architect to be able to guide multiple arts and solution trains in an organization to plan and execute the work aligned with lean agile principle. Now, when we said teams, arts and solution train, at LPM level, they manage something called DVS. DVS stands for development value streams. Now, can somebody tell me what is a value stream? What comes to your mind when you say value stream? What is a value stream according to you?
So delivering, features to our end clients, customers, value streams, whatever is contributing to the delivery, those are value streams.
Sure. Thanks, Parag. Yes, and anybody else likes to add on?
Valuable increments to the product.
So that's something a working software you deliver even at a team level or arc level or any given level, right? What is a value stream? in simpler terms, concept to cash. All the people involved, the activities that you do in your life cycle to address the need of a customer, implement it and realize cash. That life cycle we constitute a value stream. And value stream in SAFe, remember the word DevOps. There are two types of value stream in SAFe. One is called development value stream. Another one is called operational value stream. What is the difference? Operational value stream is ops centric, operations centric. For example, if Mahesh walks into a bank, either inquiring or applying for a home loan, the activities that the bank will take me through before my loan is approved, and then once it is approved, my EMI repayment schedule will start until the life cycle of the loan. When the loan account is closed, which means both the principal and the interest is repaid. That is the value realization for the bank. So all the people involved, the activities involved, the systems and solutions involved from an operations perspective in order to address the need of the customer, which is for the bank. Here in this example, Mahesh was the customer. All this will be visualized as a part of which value stream? It will be operational value stream. But in order to serve the customer of the bank will need technological enablement. That's where the development value streams comes into the picture. All the software development organizations, people like most of you here, the systems and solutions that you build and sell will all be part of the DVS, development value stream. Therefore, development value stream supports operational value stream. What does DVS deliver? DVS will deliver solution. Example of a solution, in this case, a core banking solution, a loan management system, that's a solution, right? That loan system, that loan management system, right from loan origination, then loan processing. Once the loan is approved, loan life cycle tracker. Together, this is called as a loan or a credit solution. Yes or no? Which is a really, really large solution that you are talking about. Who is building the solution? None other than the technology organizations. Therefore, they all will come under part of the development value stream. So therefore, in SAFe, we stop funding projects and we start funding development value stream. So business agility, if you had seen the business agility survey or the report, the latest report from the Business Agility Institute, or even the digital.ai report, it talks about increasingly companies are looking forward to achieving business agility. How do they achieve business agility? By shifting from project-based model to a product aligned. Product aligned means value stream aligned. What value stream? Development value stream. What will it deliver? It will deliver solution aligned to a KPI. That's the shift noticing in the industry. Okay.
Yep. Let's move on.
Are we good? Everyone so far? Any questions until this point in time? Was this helpful? At least to get some basics of it. before we get in?
Yeah, yeah. I have a question. Like this KPI, how is that mapped with this value stream? Small, some kind of an example or something like that.
Yeah, sure. I'll talk about that. So before that, I think one other area I missed out is your, probably I'll talk about, a backlog hierarchy, right? What do we call the backlog hierarchy here? Epics. From the epics, you break them down into capabilities. From the capabilities, features. From the features, you derive your user stories. And across all of this, you may have something which is called as what? Enabler. What is an enabler requirement? Enabler means maybe looking at that requirement standalone. Sometimes it becomes difficult to comprehend the value that it is adding or delivering. But when you complement this enabler along with a business facing, customer or operations facing requirement, then it makes a lot of sense. So what are some example of enabler? Your exploratory requirements, infrastructure setup, environmental setup, your security and compliance, login. Does login have any use without the actual application that you are building? Yes or no?
No.
So it's an enabling requirement, not necessary that it adds value by itself. Sometimes it does, sometimes it makes more sense when you look at it from a holistic perspective. Your architectural requirements, that design choices that you make from time to time also are enablers. And in SAFe, you can have an enabler at any given level. I can have an enabler epic, enabler capability, feature or a story. It depends on how big or small it is. What is the magnitude of the work involved? Can I start and finish within 2 weeks? Probably then it's a enabler story. Maybe within few weeks time, less than 8 weeks, maybe it's a feature. But if it's going to take multiple PIs, probably it's a enabler epic, not necessarily an enabler feature or a capability. Clear? And who plays a leading role, a leadership role in defining, describing, and guiding the implementation of enabler? That is where your architects community play a critical role, because they bring that expertise, that guidance, that authority, the technological authority they bring in will help in defining, describing, and also implementing enablers from time to time. But remember, backlog management is always a singular authority. You don't want one guy to only take care of all the technological requirements and other set of people to take care of the product facing and business facing requirements. It doesn't work that way. Everything is part of a singular backlog. At a team level, PO takes care of the backlog management. At an ARC level, who takes care of it?
Product manager.
PM, product management. At a solution train level, your solution management takes care of it. And then at a portfolio level, your LPM will steer the implementation. That is how the framework works. Any questions so far?
So I have a question here. So,
Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, thank you. So the product increment, it is there as part of every sprint, and the PI, which is you have mentioned in the art level. So in which block actually the actual integration and release happens as part of DevOps? So if you have multiple scrums and all, so can I assume it is at the art level?
Very good question. In fact, I was planning to address this little while from now, but given that you asked, I can give away the answer right now. SAFe works on the model which is called DOCROD. What do you mean by that? Develop on a cadence and release on demand. Develop on a cadence and release on demand is achieved by applying your DevOps.
Wow.
Guys, if you're not speaking, can you please mute yourself? Thank you. So you want to separate the concerns, Akhilesh, of development, deployment, and release to production. In the waterfall world, maybe the words deployment and releasing may look like one and the same. Whereas here, you are embracing the practice of what we call continuous delivery, which means teams are working on 2 weeks iteration. You are working on a bunch of backlog aligned to a goal. You are developing and delivering working software. And within those iteration of 2 weeks, whatever you develop and deliver, it must be integrated with the rest of the teams with whom you share the common code base within that boundaries of the sprint. And then every 2 weeks, you are not just going to do. So the other thing we missed out is the ceremonies or events, which we will learn shortly. At a program level or art level, we do a demo, which is called system level demo, system demo. The prerequisite for that system demo is integrated working software from all the teams that are part of a release train. Which means every 2 weeks, you're not just doing development and testing, you're also doing in-sprint integration, end-to-end testing as a continuous ongoing activity. Only then the scaling will work. And that is why scaling would definitely require what I call your lubricant or engine is your technical practices. Without extreme programming practices, your engineering practices, I can probably run faster by myself, maybe with a given speed. For a marathon, it is okay to run at this speed. But probably if I have to go from Chennai to London, I cannot run like a marathon speed. I have to fly like an airplane. That requires specialized capability. That's where DevOps come into the picture. As soon as I check in my code into the source code management repository, that triggers automated builds, which in turn triggers automated test. And then you implement your shift left approach. Everything gets, everything is automated. The entire, build automation, test automation, deployment automation, code is seamlessly moved from one environment into another. And you do continuous deployment. Deployment means that code is moved to the production environment, but you does not necessarily go live. You leave the decision of release to the business to decide when to go live. And by doing that on-demand release, you are not worried about when to release. If they say release it now, you have the capability to just do what we call a one-click release. And if something goes wrong, you're able to do a one-click fallback. That's the advancement we want to build. Akhilesh, does that give you a perception of what you were heading towards?
Yeah, thank you so much, Mahesh. It makes a lot of sense to me, but only one simple question. Like any other than developers or Scrum Master, any other person taking up the responsibility for this this process of continuous integration and you said like one click go live like that. So any other team or people involved for this process, or the existing team?
See, one team, very good question again. See, I didn't put this team called a system team here at an art level intentionally, because this system team is, it depends at what level they should be operating in an organization. Okay. It is not mandatory that every train must always need a system team. It is contextual. But you asked me a question. I don't have a continuous delivery pipeline. Neither it is built nor it is maintained. I need somebody with specialized capability to facilitate, to lead this pipeline development and maintenance. Maybe the system team can be stood up to lead this automation, DevOps adoption for the train, but they are not going to be long-lived as well. Their goal is for the train to succeed. For you to do this seamless continuous delivery, all that is needed, they can play that leadership role, guiding role, mentoring role, facilitation role, build that capability in the train, maybe go and support another train in the future. So you might say in some organization, system team could be a transient team, not an eternal team. Depends on how slow or how fast this transition can happen. If it happens at a slower rate, it may appear that they are an eternal team. If it happens fast, then it is a transient or not a long-lived team. Does that answer, Akhilesh?
Yeah, yes, Mahesh. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Any other questions for anybody else?
How do you manage the feature backlog or the capability backlog or the DevOps DVS or TVS backlog?
Yogesh, your voice was breaking, but I heard the question partly on how do we manage backlog. At what level in the framework is your question centered? What level of backlog are you referring to?
I'm talking about the feature or the capability backlog.
You're talking about the features, okay?
Feature or capability backlog, how do we maintain that?
When you say how do you maintain, what comes to your mind? Who maintains is what are you asking, or what are the activities centered around backlog management? Is that your question aligned towards?
Yeah, activities basically, because who manages is PM and SM manages the backlog, but the question is how do we effectively manage it? What are the ceremonies that we do? Or
in fact, there are ceremonies at all levels, guys. I didn't introduce some of that. I thought I'll talk about that little while from now. So if you're okay, can I clear this off and then we talk about the ceremonies next? Probably let me see if I can save this. And then can I move on to the next one, please?
Yes.
Yes.
So I'll probably move on to the ceremonies. Again, let's talk about team level. What are the ceremonies at a team level that you guys are familiar with? Tell me in Scrum, what ceremonies you guys are familiar with?
Daily Scrum, sprint planning.
How do you begin your iteration, guys? You begin with a iteration planning event, right? In SAFe, they don't use the word sprints because sprints is customary of the Scrum framework. right? So due to the copyright issues, they use the generic term iteration. However, we all know that whether you call it as a sprint or iteration, both means one and the same. It's more for legal and copyrights issue. They use the generic term iteration. Okay. And also we have a blended approach, right? Where they give you the flexibility to choose between Scrum, Kanban, XP to manage your flow of work. So what is the next ceremony? You did iteration planning on day one of your iteration. What else you do in the remaining days?
Daily Scrum.
Daily, we call it as a DSU, daily stand-up. Then iteration review. And then you do your what? Iteration?
Retrospective.
Retrospective. What is the other event that comes to your mind?
The iteration itself.
Yeah. The iteration itself is a container event. Excellent. What else? The other event which is missing is called refinement. So refinement, if you are doing a standalone Scrum implementation, you know that it could be interpreted as an optional activity. For example, I'm just a one Scrum team. Maybe I do just-in-time refinement before or live during my sprint planning. Quite possible. But while I'm operating as a team of teams, sharing common code, working towards one purpose, Agile release train means what? One destination. We are headed for one destination. Team of Agile teams. You are not building something independently. You are working towards building a common system. Therefore, I need refinements to be a mandated event ahead of iteration planning so that people are aligned on what needs to be built from time to time. There may be some dependencies across teams. Those needs to be aligned as well. Now, when we move at the art level, we will do a planning event at scale. What will be this event called as? Any guesses from anyone? This event will be called PIP. PIP stands for Program Increment Planning Event. PI planning. Some people call it as PI planning event, or some people call it as PIP event. It's a scaled or big room planning event to keep it extremely simple. How often will that happen? Let's say iteration planning. How often will you do it in a given iteration?
Once in 2 weeks.
Once in every 2 weeks, assuming 2 weeks is your length of the iteration. Similarly, how often will you do a PI planning? Once in a PI before the PI actually begins. And then we do a synchronization. So here we do art synchronization. We call it as art level sync. What are the art sync events? They are of two categories. One is called Scrum of Scrums. The other event is called as a PO sync. As the name implies, Scrum of Scrums are usually represented by the Scrum Masters, facilitated by the RTE, and PO syncs are represented by the product owners and either facilitated by the RTE or the PM, the product management. Then you do a demo, which is called as what? Every 2 weeks, your demo will be called. A scaled demo will be now called as system demo. And then we do an event which is called I&A workshop. Inspect and adapt workshop. This is your scaled retrospection. Now, do you see why I called scaling agility as a fractal pattern? Now, can you connect the dots, everyone? Do you see how an event is reappearing, or Scrum itself is kind of being applied at every level in the framework? Are you all with me so far? Can I move on to the next level?
Yes.
Yes.
Now, at a solution train level, what kind of handshaking will be needed? Here, probably I will need a, let's start with this. I will need a, instead of a system level demo, now I will need a solution level demo. Yes or no?
Yes.
Now, similarly, here I will call solution level sync. What solution level sync means? It is a across ARTs. Across the ARTs, I bring representatives. Maybe the RTEs will come, the product management, the PM community will come, the system architects will come. They will all come and do handshaking. So I will do here one event which is called pre-PI, and what is the next one which is called post-PI synchronization. What is the purpose of pre-PI? Guys, you have multiple ARTs. What kind of features you want to commit, or you want to probably take it as an input to the PI planning before each of the arts jumping into their respective PI planning events. What features you want to do? Maybe do that kind of a handshaking. Once the PI planning event got completed, what objectives you ended up committing? How was it aligned to our broader goals? Is there an alignment across the board? They do that post-PI validation. And at a LPM level, there are, of course, events, even at a portfolio level. Okay. So some events which is called, strategic portfolio review, portfolio sync, and we call it as a PB. PB stands for participatory budgeting. So these are the three events that happens at the LPM level or portfolio level. So you don't need to know all at a portfolio level, because usually for webinars of this scale, I tend to focus more at these two levels. Not even go deeper at the solution train level. I focus more on what I call the essential SAFe, the minimalistic implementation of SAFe in any given enterprise. Wherever SAFe is getting implemented, what can be that skeleton implementation look like? Just that bare minimalistic approach. Okay. But just for awareness, I thought I'll also tell you that we do PB. So PB is done half yearly, participatory budgeting, half yearly it is done. This is why we call it as a flexible funding model as opposed to a project-based model. PB is done every 2 PIs, after every 2 PIs, which means if every PI is 10 weeks, maybe once in every 6 months or once in every 20 weeks, you're going to be doing participatory budgeting. What is the output of that exercise? Each development value stream is going to understand how much money will come to the table for developing what kind of epics. Are we going to get funding to do epic 1? Are we going to get funding to do epic 2? Those kind of decision making will happen every 6 months. That is why this is different from the classical project-based model where we work on what I call, here is the time, here is the scope, here is the capacity/cost. And then if you lock all the three, what happens? Can agility thrive here? Fixed time, fixed cost, fixed scope. It becomes like a deadlock.
Yes.
So LPM tries to solve that kind of a problem where it really tries to bring in flexibility or adaptability into the upstream level processes. That is why we say aligning strategy with execution. These are execution centric, whereas practices here are more what aligned? Strategic. Able to get a flavor on what events look like? I'm not even getting into the how of each events, right? I'm only trying to give you the bird's eye view, the overview of what events happen where. Right? Obviously, just like teaching Scrum is, very hard in a few hours. Similarly, teaching SAFe in just couple of hours is equally harder. We can take each level, for example, LPM. LPM in itself is an advanced SAFe class. It's a 2-day class, public class. It's one of the advanced classes. And those of you who are interested in learning LPM, I would suggest you to go for a leading SAFe class to familiarize yourself with SAFe before you venture for a LPM class. Because it is better served if you know the basics of SAFe before you come in for a LPM class. Any questions on the ceremonies? Sounds good?
Yes.
Okay. Now we'll move on to let me know if you guys can see my screen.
Yes, we are able to hear.
So in SAFe, there are two things, two schools of thought we generally align. So one is the lean mindset, the other one is the agile mindset. Now, where do you get the context for some of this? For example, whenever I talk about lean mindset or lean agile mindset, please refer to the page 7 of the white paper that I have shared. Whenever we say lean mindset, we are referring to the house of lean. The house of lean is nothing but it is a metaphor for if you are building a lean enterprise or a lean organization, what shall be the values of such an organization? What will be the foundation of house of lean? Look at the picture and answer me this question. What will be the foundation of house of lean?
Leadership.
Leadership. What will be the roof of house of lean?
Value.
A compelling value proposition. Why am I building? What am I building? What's the cause? What's the purpose I'm committed for? If I do not know what cause I'm running behind, what great products will I ever build? And what are the pillars of house of lean? What are the pillars? There are 4 pillars. Number 1, respect for people and culture, flow of value, innovation, and relentless improvement. So these 2, we call it as values, right? Because in lean, one thing that is extremely important is flow. Stop starting, start finishing. Yes or no? Are you all able to see my white paper on the screen, by the way?
Yes.
Yes.
Now, in Agile Manifesto, I assume most of you have gone through Suresh's class. You may be familiar with, the Agile Manifesto, right? which helps us understand what an agile mindset is. Many of us may be doing agile, some of us may be being or becoming agile. But what becomes the shared understanding on what agility is truly all about? That is where the Agile Manifesto plays. Then on top of this, SAFE also comes up with core values. Core values is, if you are building team of teams, you want alignment, built-in quality, transparency, and program execution. Why? If imagine how many of the times you were working in a large program, you were having some dependency with some other team, and people said, hey, probably it is your dependency, not mine. It's your priority, not mine. We have better things to do, higher priority things to do. Therefore, hold on. We will answer you. We will resolve your dependency later in the life cycle or later in time, maybe not now. And we say now in the SAFE framework, one priority will now align the entire train, which means if there is a feature of priority number 1, irrespective of which team is either leading that feature or contributing to that feature, one feature priority, which means that feature of priority number 1 is not priority number 1 for that particular team, but for all of the teams which are part of the ART. You're changing the game. How does it really change? Hey, teams, if somebody is working on feature number 1, better start supporting them with high priority. Because we now succeed or fail not as a single agile team, as a collective team of teams. So you're scaling collective ownership to the train level rather than at the team level. That's the principle of alignment we focus on. Built-in quality. Quality is not like, you prepare your pizza or pasta and add that topping. Quality is not built like that. Quality or security is part and parcel of the game. It is like the creation, right? When I am born in this universe, the DNA is born with me. Quality and security is like that. I cannot take a shortcut to it. If you screw up that and forgo the quality principle, quality engineering principles, it will probably stall futuristic delivery. I don't want that to happen. And then transparency, making progress visible, making impediments visible at all levels. That is why we say a picture is worth 1,000 words. But how do we know that there are problems in the organization? Where are those problems? Where are those constraints? That is where SAFE applies. If you look at this big picture, do you see Kanban? At a team level, there is a Kanban. At an art level, there is a Kanban. Large solution level, there is a Kanban. And at a portfolio level also, there is a Kanban. Because Kanban systems help manage the flow of work. It helps you match your demand with your capacity. You start limiting your work in progress at all levels so that you can achieve a higher flow of work. At all levels, you want efficiency, not too many work in progress. Everybody is busy, nothing gets done. I want to address that problem. That is why Kanban becomes a powerful tool to help achieve. And then we talked about program execution. Great plans poorly executed. What is in it for us? No use. That is why you do synchronization at all levels. Plans are nothing. Planning is everything. At a team level, we do daily stand-up. Arc level, scrum of scrums, PO sync. Again, you scale it up. Please connect the dots to whatever I'm saying with the events that I just taught you. Again, you do, solution level synchronization. And then you are focusing on eliminating impediments, blockers at all levels, so that we do decentralized decision making. And then on top of the agile principles, I'm not going to run you through these principles. I'm only going to leave you that all of these 10 safe principles, they have been taken from a book called as Principles of Product Development Flow. So if you click on books on safe, you will have some recommended books. I'm leaving this link on your chat window. Safe Distilled will give you an overall purview of the framework. And then if you click on resources, recommended reading, you will see that there are, do you see that foundational reading and other great resources? At least my encouragement to all of you will be to go through the foundational reading books, where you could see that Safe Distilled 5.0 as the common. And this is the second most important book is Principles of Product Development Flow, written by Donald Reinertsen. Second generation lean product development. Maybe we can do a webinar just on the 10 principles. It's that deeper. And if you go for a leading safe class, we will teach you all the 10 principles in depth. These are called lean agile principles at scale or safe principles. Safe has just, replicated all the principles from this book, right? Then the next topic I want to leave you with is called the safe implementation roadmap. It is so very important because this is what we call one of the, you can say, a proven model or a proven approach to implementing safe in a given organization. There may be a number of approaches. For example, Scrum. We never had a saying Scrum implementation roadmap, right? Scrum left that problem to the whims and fancies of the enterprises to choose what's the best approach for them. But given the complexity involved, Safe gives you a recipe. It's up to you. It doesn't mean that, this is like it is like your playbook. You can choose to follow or choose to go on your own approach. It's up to you. But if you follow this approach, your probability of success is relatively high. No guarantees again. And this approach talks about a leader of an organization deciding, let's do safe. And then what do I do next? I form a LACE, a Lean Agile Center of Excellence, a leadership team to lead the implementation of SAFE. Then these guys go through they become the change agents. They go through a course called Implementing SAFE, because I need SPCs to lead the adoption of SAFE. Then I get the LT on board, leadership team and SLT on board. They go through the leading SAFE class. And then only the required people go through the LPM class. Then for every train that you stand up or stood up, you will go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps. This is what we call standard art launch model. You will start with identifying value streams, which train, create the implementation plan, prepare for the launch, train the teams, launch the train. Launch art means do the PI, first ever PI planning event, coach. And then you will start scaling up from one train to another train. So please refer to this model if you are a leader, especially if you are a leader in your enterprise. SAFE implementation roadmap is an easy recipe for success, maximizing your success. The mantra we call is train everyone before you launch trains. There are role-based courses, Scrum Masters, product owners, architects, teams. Because imagine the framework is so very complex. It is, you can go breadth, you can go depth. Usage of common language, building a shared understanding on some of the roles and responsibilities in the framework. I'm referring to something as an art and a PI, and Akhilesh is asking me, what does that really mean? Tell me in a language that I can understand. I cannot create a dictionary for each and everything, right? So you want alignment across the board. That's where the learning sessions become a placeholder to solve some of those challenges. So follow the implementation roadmap. So this implementation roadmap is evolved from Kotter's model on leading change. So it contains these 12 steps as I was talking about. And then you have the 7 competencies to help achieve business agility. So I won't get deeper around this. Let me pause here and see if there are any questions until now. And based on how you guys would like to proceed further, we will evolve the remaining proceedings accordingly. Any questions for anybody until now?
No.
Okay. So while Mahesh asking if anyone has questions, I have one question on behalf of everyone here. At least I keep hearing a lot of organizations who are doing safe, little confused about should we do leading safe or should we do a product owner, product manager, the POPM. So any suggestion on those lines, Mahesh, will be helpful.
Yeah. So very good question, Suresh. So if you are interested in going through a formal education on SAFe, those of you are looking for a generic introduction, the breadth of the framework, then leading SAFe will be your recommended course. Because you get the principles, you get all the, at all levels, you get some macro view. But if you are a specific role in the enterprise and you want to follow up with a role-based curriculum, then on top of leading SAFe, you can go for a SAFe Scrum Master or a SAFe POP. Right? It makes a lot more sense, right? Because I know Scrum, then what it takes to really succeed as a Scrum Master or a product owner while implementing Scrum in an organization is like a cakewalk for me. But if I don't know SAFe, then I have 2 things to solve. On one side, I have to master the framework, parallelly look for the expertise needed on as well. So while SAFe does not say that this is a mandate, I highly recommend this model for those of you who are looking at the breadth as well as depth necessary for your role in your organization. But if you say, I don't need the big picture, I will be happy if you teach me the what it takes to succeed as a Scrum Master or a product owner or a product manager while doing execution of the work. Then you can directly go for the role-based courses. Sure. But then don't assume that you will be getting the overall SAFe. That's the limitation you may want to live with.
Okay, understood. And thank you, Mahesh, for that clarity on what could be a first step. And another question again, if at all it's going to be helpful, because I keep getting this question in Scrum classes as well, is if I am a organizational leader, more at a departmental head or a business unit head, my customer is asking for SAFe, right? And I want to implement SAFe in my organization, right? So what are those top 3, 4, 5 steps that we should pursue? Like training certification is definitely one, but a small step. But any other high-level steps that you could suggest, or any reading on that?
Sure. So I think again, like any other framework or practice, I don't think these frameworks could be the recipe for success by itself in any given organization, right? So if I am hungry I can satisfy my hunger in n number of ways. It could be liquid food, solid food, anything of that sort. Safe is one of the ways, right? May not be the only way. Especially for large enterprises who are dealing with complex systems, the bureaucracy that big companies live in. Safe shows them a path to adapt them or transform them to a lean agile way of working in an organic manner and in a very structured approach. And no wonder that it is one of the industry's leading scaled agile framework because of the fact that it shows a path rather than leaving it to the discretion of the company to choose its path, right? Comparing to any other framework that you may have seen. But now if we ask me, like, I have seen people, Mahesh, I have 25 people and my boss wants me to do safe. Okay. And what do? And they do all of the essential safe practices. No harm. But the question I often ask is, what are you running behind? What's the cost? While 50 to 125 is a golden number for launching train, safe might still come to the rescue even if you're less. But the question you may want to answer yourself is the pain worth the gain? Is the cost versus benefit helping you? Or will you be well off with some, scaled planning events, maybe scrum of scrums? Maybe you borrow some practices from SAFe or from other scaling frameworks out there in the industry, rather than launching trains as the only way to succeed. Because Suresh, I saw in one customer organization, they stood up a train because SAFe said 50 to 125, they also stood up 100-member train. And every team were operating in silos. Each was building one system or the other, none of which is interconnected, none of which needs to work with one another, no need of integration, very little to negligible cross-team dependencies, and they were on paper called as a agile release train. The question we asked is, why are you operating as a train? Who stood you up as a train? Then we realized, somebody wanted to do safe in that organization. And some leader said, okay, I have so many people, all these people, 10 teams means combine them and call it as a train. Trains are not like that. Just like an agile teams are self-organizing and cross-functional, running behind some value, a train is also running behind value. People fail to understand that. The trains are not logical grouping of teams in whatever way reporting to one single leader. That's not the way it is.
Okay, got it. Very good. So I understood that first step is to identify the need, identify the value that we are chasing, and then probably get to that level of detail. So once say there is a need, what is this leader should look at in terms of implementation, get some help from experts, or train people, or procure this tool, or anything like a 2-3 steps that we have apart from this?
So I would say, given my experience, first is get the right person to help implement the change. So SAFe calls it as an SPC. I don't recommend because I am an SPC. It's because, I have a problem for my health. I need an expert to take advice. It could be a doctor, it could be a therapist, it could be a counselor, or anybody of that sort. I may not be the best in everything I do, right? So I need somebody to talk to. So look at SPCs or your coaches like that. So many a times people trying to do things by themselves. For example, the train example I shared, why it went wrong? Because they never did a value stream identification workshop. Or they never did a proper value stream and art identification. So they ended up launching train in the way they thought it was logical for themselves. So get the SPC on board, get the leadership trained first, get the alignment first, have your causes maybe create your transformation charter, follow the implementation roadmap, and then identify a pilot train, do one PI planning, do one, see whether there is a success, get the learning, then look at expanding the transformation. It's easy to do big bang, but at scaled level, Suresh, it's always, as you know, the cost of failure is high to do big bang. That would be my recommendation.
Sure. This is very good. I think at least some of us, this would have helped in terms of how to launch or how to implement SAFE. What are some of those initial steps? Mahesh, thank you so much for that. Let us check last 2 minutes. Anyone has any other questions for Mahesh? Okay, seems good. So let us quickly hand over. I have a team member here, Preeti, who is going to close the session in a few minutes. I request all of you to kindly wait for another 5 to 10 minutes. And we have a couple of announcements as for the upcoming sessions as well. So Preeti, could you please kindly help us to close?
Yeah. Hi, hello everyone. This is Preeti from Premier Agile. I would want to express my gratitude to each of you for attending our Premier Wednesday flagship event sponsored by Premier Agile. And thank you so much, Mahesh, for educating us on SAFE's role in achieving business agility. I'm sure you all here know Mr. Suresh Kunduru, the CEO and founder of the Premier Agile, which is one of the top 10 agile consulting firms in the world, founded in the year 2018. Premier Agile as a company helps organizations, teams, and individuals convert into new generation organizations all over the world. Its coaching programs are backed by globally recognized Scrum Alliance flagship certifications like CSM, CSPO, ACSM, and ACSPO, as well as other programs from similar organizations. So I would like to share more insights with you about Premier Agile as a company by walking through our website. I hope everyone can see my screen right now.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you so much for confirming the same. So we have arrived at our website, that is www.premieragile.com. We are glad to state that we have trained over 20,000 plus students in 35 countries and conducted over 1,000 seminars, all of which were 100% successful. We at Premier Agile give world-class training experiences with brain science learning by delivering classes with zero PowerPoint presentations. As a result, we are pleased to announce that our USP is a 5-star rating on Google. So several media outlets have recognized Premier Agile as the best Scrum and Agile consulting organization in the world over the last couple of years. For the past few years, Premier Agile has constantly received media interest, and one of our recent accomplishments was winning the title of the best Agile consulting and transformation service provider of 2022 by the London-based magazine, a Corporate Vision magazine, followed by the best Agile consulting and transformation companies in 2022 by the most popular Business Connect magazine. We were once recognized as the top 10 Agile consultants by CIO Tech Outlook and as the most admired companies to watch in 2021 by the Business Fame magazine. So when it comes to certifications, we are honored to be affiliated with the Scrum Alliance and the Scaled Agile organizations. Under the Scrum Alliance body, we do have certifications like Certified Scrum Master, Certified Scrum Product Owner, as well as the advanced courses like Advanced Certified Scrum Master and the Advanced Certified Scrum Product Owner. Wherein under Scale Agile, we do have leading SAFE, SAFE Scrum Master, SAFE Advanced Scrum Master, SAFE Product Owner, or the Product Manager. So on the combo courses, we are in fact offering up to 22,000 off. So on we have a session coming up on September 6th, and we are offering up to 20% off on the same for the same session on September 6th. So it's by so we have these sessions coming up, and we have session also in the month of September. So with years of hands-on Agile transformation expertise in Fortune 500 companies all over the world, we also offer customized trainings. So we have done the trainings for these companies till date, and we are continuing to do that. So let me share, along with the training, we also offer options for ongoing learnings, such as Premier Wednesdays, Ask Mentoring sessions, quizzes, learning shorts, and other resources. Let me share a few insights about the same. So we host free webinars on a variety of topics with speakers from various locations sharing their perspectives, one of which you have already experienced. Right? On Wednesdays, this usually occurs, hence the name Premier Wednesday. So we are hosting 2 more webinars this month on August 17th from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on the topic. It's not on the topic on Agile and Scrum or Safe, but that is on the topic of overview of space systems by Siddharth Kunturu, class 12 physics student. And the other one is on August 24th from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. on metrics for Agile teams by Ms. Nehemai. So one can earn 2 SUs by participating in the above webinar. You just need to click on register now. So when it comes to professional mentoring, we have given the name Ask Mentoring session, Ask Mentoring, which can be an individual or a group session. You will be able to get answers to your questions, learn about the most recent certifications, and receive professional advice. To take part in this session, you just need to fill in this form and click on the submit button to register for yourself. We provide self quizzes as a part of our free learning. A Scrum Master, a product owner, a product manager, Agile coach, a safe transformation leader, or simply any Agile team member can benefit from these. Our experts have put together a collection of short videos to help you learn about Agile, Scrum, product ownership, and scaling. So we frequently keep on posting videos, and we have listed this under our free resources for your convenience. As an intention to assist Premier Agile class participants, we have curated templates like product backlog, sprint backlog, user story mapping, and many more to implement Scrum. So these can be tweaked to fit in the needs of your company. So there are more than 100 plus non-IT case studies wherein Scrum can be used, and our website will actually give you a wealth of information on these topics. We have approximately 200 blogs on our website that are updated every Thursday. You can browse them based on your needs. So our social media channels include Twitter, Instagram, Facebook by the name Premier Agile. I would request each one of you to please do follow our social media channels, wherein you can get to learn a lot of information, and you can explore over here. So please do contact us on our hotline numbers, that is 9154224453 or 707-552-4453 if you require any further support in the future. So if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact us. We are just a call and email away. So lastly, congratulations for everyone, each one of you, for earning 2 SUs by joining us for the Premier Wednesday event today. Ishwari, I would request you to please share the link below in the chat wherein you can get how to add SUs. Okay. Thank you. She's going to share the same. So before we end today's webinar, I would request each one of you to please share your valuable feedback on the same by taking 1 minute of your time to fill in the feedback form Ishwari has shared in the chat box. Ishwari, yeah, here you go. This is the feedback form. Request you to each, please take 1 minute of your time to fill in the feedback form. It will help us to improve our further coming webinars. Yeah. Lastly, yeah, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to show you around our website, and thank you so much for choosing Premier Agile. Thank you so much, Suresh. Thanks for this.
Thank you, Preeti. And just on that feedback, it will really help us as a Premier Wednesday platform, and Mahesh as well, in terms of improving. So I request everyone to kindly spend 1 minute to provide the feedback. And meanwhile, as Preeti was mentioning, there are a couple of other events lined up in this month. Especially one of them is on metrics. So whoever is already working in Agile teams as Scrum Masters or product owners or safe practitioners, I'm sure that session will also be very, very helpful. So I request all of you to kindly join that. We'll wait for 1 last minute to provide the feedback, and then we will close the session formally.